welcome to this webinar on Product Management Career Accelerator. Delighted to see so many people here. But first things first, let's hand over to Dani for a quick program intro. Thanks, Dani.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to hear from Chris and his experience on the program. But before we get into that, I just want to give you a brief overview of the King's Product Management Career Accelerator, and then we'll get into Chris's questions, and then I'm happy to answer some program-specific questions at the end as well, and to kind of support you through your application and your enrollment onto the program. This 6-month fully online program balances structure and flexibility, and it's really been designed for people who want to become indispensable product managers. Whether you're stepping into a product management role for the first time, making a full career change, whether it's a program that's going to help you take your career to the next level, we really focus on a strong base of fundamentals. We include AI and data fluency, and then commercial confidence to get you ready for that next role or that next step in your career. It's co-designed with industry experts and employers. This means that you'll learn. What you're learning is everything directly tied to industry-specific and market-specific and market-related context. So we've worked with companies like Atlassian, Dropbox, DocuSign, Socialr, and Linktree, and then, of course, academics from King's College London itself. The program, as I mentioned, is fully online. It requires about 20 hours of learning per week, but it's mostly flexible. So a lot of our learners do still balance their full-time career. You won't need to stop it to take the program. It's designed to be part-time. The program itself is very practical. You will build projects through the program and a portfolio of evidence to be able to showcase to employers. And then the final stage of the program is a 6-week employer project where we have partnered with an industry partner to present a challenge that they're experiencing that's product related. You'll work with other learners on the program to develop product-focused solutions to this challenge. So getting some real hands-on experience, and I'm sure Chris will touch a little bit more on that later on during the program. Very briefly, a curriculum breakdown. The program is broken up into 4 different parts. We've got course 1, which is focused on product foundations and discovery. So you'll learn how to uncover user needs, analyze behaviors, prioritize opportunities. You'll build business cases, practice structured ideation, and even start using AI tools for productivity there. You'll be in course, and then at the end of that, you'll have a practical project that you'll complete as part of your portfolio. Course 2 will move on to focusing on defining, delivering, and testing your product. And then course 3 is going to be focused on product strategy, data, and growth foundations. So you'll be working on all 3, on all elements of the product lifestyle from start to product launch. And then you'll be focusing a little bit more on the employer project at the end of the program, where you'll really get that hands-on experience to implement everything that you've learned throughout the program. There's lots of support throughout the program. So you do have a career coach that will be taking you through interview prep, CV, brand, personal branding, really kind of helping you with that career change or that career shift that you're going through, and someone just to instill that confidence and help you prep for interviews and really understand what your next steps are going to be. So in short, this program is extremely practice-based. I would say about 50% of the program is practice-based. So you're really getting those strong outcomes of this program. We've got a strong support system with working with your career coach to really help you navigate what those next steps in your product management career are going to be. And the program itself, the total cost is £6,295. We do have many payment plans involved in that. And I really encourage you at the end of this program to book a call with your enrollment advisor so we can talk with you about your specific, what you're currently doing in your career, what your transferable skills are, what your plan is, and really see how this program can help you achieve those next steps, and also to work through what your specific and unique budget is to see how we can help you invest in this program and really see that return on investment through it. Enough from me now. I know that was quite a lot of information in a short amount of time, but I'll be staying on in the end to answer any questions and to repeat and go over anything to ensure that you have all the answers that you need to make the right decision for yourselves. So I'll hand over to Kat now.
Thank you so much, Dani. Really appreciate that and great introduction to the course. Hopefully you can't wait to know more, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. So my name is Kat. I'm the Manager of Student Success here at FourthRev, and today really delighted to be joined by Chris, who's going to tell you all about his experience on the Career Accelerator and the type of journey that it's taken on. Really, really interesting. If you do have any questions as we go through, feel free to put them in the Q&A box, or you can use the chat function for anything else. We'll share the recording with you afterwards, so if there's anything you want to look back on, you can do. And as Dani said, she's going to stay on till the end of the course, so any burning questions, she'll be able to answer those for you. But let's get to the main event. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. It'd be great if you could give an introduction to yourself.
Hey guys, yeah, my name's Chris. I am currently working for the Times newspaper in London as a product manager for puzzles. So working across all sort of interactive puzzles, that whole area. So that's kind of, coming up with new games, setting the strategy, just general product management. And yeah, and I graduated really recently actually from the course, and I think I secured my role here about 5 6 weeks ago. Was when I started. So yeah.
Thanks, Chris. We've got a few questions for you as we go along today. Got a really interesting career change, which I think will resonate with a lot of people here. What inspired you to go from your former role as a picture editor into product management?
I think the main reason for kind of transitioning towards product management was, I think, the growth of it, the scope as well. I think the ability to kind of be extremely creative still in an area of sort of technology and business, which is growing exponentially, really. And it's really exciting. It's really fun. As one of the things I've noticed a lot since making the move into product management, just how fun it's been as a sort of a career choice. And I think, I mean, interestingly, one of the weird things that I did when I moved is that I knew I kind of wanted a change, and I kind of moved I put all of my kind of skill set, what I felt with my kind of soft skills and hard skills, down on a bit of paper. And then one of the things that I managed to kind of, so I felt encompassed it all, was product management. And I think a lot of people have that. I think that's applicable to a lot of people, a lot of people's careers. You might not think that you have the transferable skills, but I think product management is something that is very inclusive, and it actually benefits you to come from a range of different backgrounds.
Definitely, thank you. I think what you've caught there, intentionally or not, is that the broadness of products, and because it's such a young career, there's no real accepted or formal way you have to do this degree in this place. There's loads of ways in, there's loads of ways around, and there's loads of ways up as well. And it's really rare I meet someone who describes their job as fun. So I'm delighted for you there. It does sound really, really interesting. Thank you. You seem to have done quite a lot of research on kind of what is my next step, and bringing together the soft skills with all of your other experience. How did you come across the King's program, and what made you decide that this is the right step at this time?
I think one of the main ones, I think I started Googling actually what how to transition towards product management. I'd done a little bit of kind of work in web development. I'd done some courses myself, and then in my previous job, I actually did a secondment with another team of web developers. So I had a little bit of experience there, but it was kind of, it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to go. I don't think I was particularly suited to sitting down coding all the time. So I had to sort of, yeah, I Googled how to transition to product management, and I came across this course. And I think what struck me was, I think the partnership with King's College is a big one. Because essentially you can obviously, it's probably, I remember speaking to somebody who said that it was almost better value for money than doing an MBA because in fact you still get a university sort of accredited course.
Mm,
But then also alongside that, you've also got so much, you get the employer project, which is a big part of
yeah.
it in terms of getting actual on the job experience. And for me as well, I'd been in my current role for about 6.5 years.
Mm,
Um, and so for 6.5 years, I hadn't like, I had an interview, I hadn't updated my CV really. And the ability to actually have the career coach alongside was
mm,
a big part of why I chose it and was actually one of the most beneficial things for me, especially with securing my role, my current role. Having that support from the career coach was huge. It made such a big difference because I didn't even know how to structure myself for an interview or how to how to leverage my experience as well. Like I kind of
yeah.
touched on earlier, I knew I had these transferable skills, but actually communicating that in an interview, yeah, the career coach massively helped me to do that.
Amazing. Yeah, that's having the skills is one thing, but actually being able to market yourself and really get across, well, this is what I'm bringing. This is how all of these things come in before. Obviously, I'm your choice for this role. Delighted you managed to do that, and you have the product management position now. Fantastic. Thank you, Chris. What part of the program did you enjoy the most?
That's a good question. Um, I think I think to be honest, for me, one of the bits I really enjoyed, I think because I was really ready for a move and a change and to
Mm,
kind of, I'd sort of felt like I'd stalled in my last role and I wasn't really progressing and there wasn't much scope to progress. So I think once I started, because it working through the first module, which is about 6 weeks of work, I think the bit I enjoyed the most was actually feeling like I was moving forward and moving towards
mm,
something by doing the course. And I was learning so much new stuff, especially in that first module. Everything was so new, but it was also so interesting, and it was again, it was just so nice to feel like I was kind of contributing to sort of my career progression,
nice.
which was kind of really refreshing. And I don't know how many of you um, are kind of looking at this course from that position of feeling maybe stagnant, but that it kind of gave me a kind of renewed sense of purpose, which was great. Um, and yeah, I mean, just even the work in general, it was. I've kind of said throughout that I really enjoyed the course from start to
Mm,
finish, really. Um, and I think the first course putting together a business case and creating prototypes for a product, sort of a fictional product that you kind of you're trying to create throughout the course. Um, Kind of coming up with the idea, developing the idea, and then getting to a point where you're creating prototypes of this product was quite fun, and you can kind of start to visualize the product process, and then also you kind
mm,
of get to see your idea actually kind of come to life to a degree, which was quite
yeah.
fun.
Amazing. I love prototyping. And when you do those things for the first few times, you're like, wow, am I making this? Am I doing this? It's really, really rewarding. So you've spoken a little bit about the practical nature of the course. And I think that's really, really important for employers now. They're not looking so much for, okay, you've done this master's, you can do it. They're like, well, show me how. So do you feel the course prepared you for kind of doing the practical on the job things?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially some of the frameworks
Mm,
that you kind of come across in product management that the course covers extensively was extremely useful. I recently um, in terms of ideation there. So
mm,
obviously, when you're coming to a product and you're trying to think of maybe trying to build a new feature and what you're going to build. So I've been doing quite a lot of that recently in my new role. And so many of the frameworks that we covered were so useful in sort of me being able to kind of, I think especially going in as my sort of a junior into a product team, and I'm now the product manager of that team. I'm kind of dealing with sort of there's a team of five of us, and everybody's quite experienced.
mhm.
um, but it kind of gets so it was a little bit daunting to begin with, but it kind of gave me the confidence to go in and say, okay, yeah, look, this is how we're going to do it. This is an ideation technique, for example, and I've set up this session, and this is how I'm going to structure it and go through it. And obviously throughout the course, I was kind of taking a lot of notes, and I still obviously have access to the course materials, so I could refer back to them to get do a little bit of extra information if I needed it, or remind myself how to conduct these sessions. So that was super useful. So realistically, I think a lot of the stuff I learned on the course has been applied within the first 6 weeks of me starting the course.
Wow.
And I think as well, I mean, when I started thinking about going towards product, I was kind of looking at roles and thinking about maybe applying for them without having much experience. And I think after doing the course, one of the things I realized that had I got to an interview in any of those stages, I wouldn't I wouldn't have really had much clue what I was talking about. So like I said, just doing the course and knowing all of the different methodologies really helped me, gave me that sort of the confidence, I think, to hit the ground running.
And I think confidence to put yourself out there, but then also be in those rooms and go, no, I'm backing myself. I know this. I've done this course. I've got this qualification. Now I'm putting it into practice. Great to hear that they were so relevant so quickly. Amazing. I think you're someone who does your research and makes decisions on that basis. You've mentioned the career coaching and the employer project. Were they areas that really stood out to you as kind of unique to other course offerings?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think the career coach especially, because I mean, think in terms of obviously the course isn't particularly, it's not like it's a cheap course. And but I think the fact that you have this career coach, I mean, you could pay, you can pay a lot of money for a career coach. I think again, going back to the confidence that gave me, I think that was huge. I think that allowed me to kind of go into an interview feeling prepared, feeling like I knew what was coming, what to expect. My career coach, Karen, she worked in recruitment as well. She'd been a career coach, so she knew a lot of kind of what I was going to come up against when I went into this interview, which prior to the sessions that I had with her, I would have had no idea kind of what to expect. So that was really, really useful. So I think that was definitely a big part of it, and especially like I said earlier, coming from a position where I hadn't had any I'd not really changed careers in so long, and I think with the job market being as competitive as it is, I think that it definitely gave me an edge. And even when I did my interview, one of the things they really sort of commended me on was the way that I structured my experience and the way that I'd kind of leveraged all of my existing experience to the role. And that was all something that I'd worked on with my career coach. That was all kind of what we'd focused on, and how I could basically make myself as appealing as possible using the experience that I had. And in terms of the employer project, definitely, I think from a perspective of just giving you a bit of, it was good to kind of start actually eventually putting into practice what we've been learning whilst we're on the course. And again, we were using the same methodologies, we were the same kind of frameworks, and then also applying that to then working in a team with people, because for the first 3 modules of the course, you're essentially working pretty much on your own. You have check-ins obviously with the kind of success coaches and the course convener, but a lot of the work, it's kind of self-paced and self-run. And then the employer project is you're working with another team, so you guys have meetings that you kind of attend together. And that was really kind of eye-opening as well, because for the first 3 weeks I felt like that was okay, I kind of know all of the theory, and then it was then kind of putting it into practice at the end. So by the end of it, I kind of came out feeling it gives you a very well-rounded experience, I think, which is quite it's very relevant to my role now.
Amazing, thank you. I'm going to admit to a little bit of bias around the employer project here. I absolutely love it. The confidence that it gives people, and like you said, the bringing everything together. You go through the theory, you do your assignments, you do your activities, but then in a group of people, you start to get that kind of peer confidence that like, oh yeah, this person thinks I can do this. Yes, I think they can do it. Look at what we're building together. It gives you some amazing stories for recruitment as well. Thank you. So you've mentioned you've used the ideation frameworks in your job at the Times. Is there any of the other things that really stand out to you as like, wow, this was really, really useful, or I've used that in the first few weeks?
Stakeholder management, I think a lot of that, because that's a big part, especially with the first module, or the first course. The sort of just various techniques for kind of managing different, obviously you're going to be working with a lot of senior people in product management, and you're going to be, I think, in terms of managing expectations and communicating with people, things like not over promising, what you're going to deliver, but at the same time, kind of being optimistic and but not being unrealistic. I think things like that, and I think that was a big part of it, just in terms of kind of managing how you're, because it'd be so tempting in this job to kind of go in and say, oh yeah, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to make this, and I'm still very tempted to do that now, but it's nice to kind of I think, and you can I was just sort of thinking back to those parts of the course that try and rein it in a little bit, and kind of manage expectations, and kind of then deliver incrementally, and then you still get to deliver all these things, but you don't go shout about them too early.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I think a large part of product management is not necessarily having a fixed team of which you get to go, well, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. There's a lot of influencing without necessarily having that authority. So being able to get people on board with the project, being able to manage those expectations and then deliver them, massive skills to learn. Awesome. Okay. Big question now, Chris. What was the biggest challenge? Did you have a moment when you were like, wow, this is really hard? Or can I make this assignment? Any big ones that stick out to you?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, without a doubt, is I think the amount of work that you do have to do. And I think managing your workload is tough. And I think everybody on my sort of cohort had the same thing. That it was, I mean, I don't want to kind of, I don't want to sort of put anybody off, obviously, but it was because, especially how I think the course for me was so worth it, and I'm glad that I did it. But I think the advantage is it's 6 months, so you have to be prepared that for 6 months you're gonna be doing quite long days. So I was kind of fortunate in my role that my working hours were 11 till 7 in my previous role, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So what I would typically do is I'd actually come into the office at 8 a.m. and I would work on my core stuff up until 11, and then I would work 11 till 7 p.m. and then maybe I'd do about an hour afterwards. And that was how I chose to do it, because I kind of didn't really want to give up my weekends. So that was the way that I managed to kind of structure my day, so that for 6 months' time, I was essentially kind of doing almost a 12-hour day of kind of study and work. But I know that so many different people on my course did it completely different ways. So everybody had different schedules. So some people would save it all for the weekends and they would work 9 to 5. Some people would just kind of do long hours in the evening. So I think, without a doubt, the biggest part, the biggest struggle will be, managing your time. I didn't find it particularly hard to meet the deadlines doing it the way that I did it. But I would definitely say, don't leave it all to the last minute, but try and do bits every day. So even if it's just 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day or 1 hour, if you can manage it, that's all you can manage. things like that, just kind of keep chipping away, because you kind of want to complete sort of a chunk of work each week and kind of keep that rhythm, I think. And I think as long as the hardest part possibly was I think the first 30 days, the first month was difficult,
Mm.
because I was almost trying to break into that habit of doing it, every day.
Yeah.
And I think once you manage to kind of break into it, it becomes a bit more easy. And then you kind of that's just kind of a cadence that you roll with, and you kind of keep going. But like I said, I really don't want to put anybody off by saying that it is a lot of work, because it is a lot of work. But I mean, for me, I found it was definitely worth it, and I was glad that I did it. I didn't I didn't particularly know how much work it was going to be when I signed up to the course, but
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, in a way, this is why I hesitate about saying it, because I feel like if maybe someone had said it's loads and loads of work, I would have been like, well, maybe I won't do it, and then I wouldn't be in the role that I am now. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't let that put you off. Just say, it's going to be 6 months, and it's going to be hard work, but it's going to be worth it.
Definitely, like it's an investment in yourself, and finding that, like the 30-day thing, that's apparently how long it takes to build a solid habit. So I think you're spot on with that. And like you said, you were able to fit it in with a full-time role, still have a weekend by having that commitment and that organization. And like product is a great career choice. So putting in that effort for a reasonably short amount of time. Now, lots of effort, and props to you, because it's definitely hard work. But putting that in that effort for a short amount of time has got the potential of so much payoff. And I think there's a lot of people come to us and they've chosen between this program and a 2-year masters, and they're kind of looking at, I can do this for 6 months, and human beings are really good at short bursts. Could I do this for 2 years? Not sure. And maybe that resonates with some people on the call today. But yeah, it's 6 months hard work. Would you say it goes quite quickly?
It did, yeah, it did in the end, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think there's definitely times where yeah, it kind of feels like, God, this has been going on a long time, or I'm ready to sort of get through this. Um, but I think it's honest, it did go quite quickly. I think because you're kind of, there's each week you've got sort of lessons, you've got
Mm.
your kind of way of working, you've got assignments you need to finish, and as you're each week there's sort of activities that you should complete, or assignment activities that they recommend you complete during that week, um, just to kind of keep pace. So
Yeah.
it's not like you get to the end of, like, because you have an assignment at the end of the month. Um, and one of the things I was kind of worried about, that I'm going to get to the end and I'm going to have to write a big assignment. But the way that it's paced is quite good, because you complete stuff each week. So each week you complete an assignment activity, which will maybe, I don't know, let's say I think it was about 1,500 words or something,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's something else. Maybe you have to create something, and that all kind of goes into the eventual assignment. So actually, by the time you get to the end, you've kind of done it all, because each week you've completed a chunk of work, and then you get to the end, and it's kind of all there. So the last week is essentially you're kind of just putting it together. So as long as you kind of keep the steady pace, it's all quite fine. And I think because of that pace, it does feel like it goes quite quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And we do structure the program intentionally to be like the building blocks of the assignment, rather than you doing all the work and then having a weekend at the end where you're kind of up all night drinking Red Bull, just furiously typing. We don't want you to go through that. So we do make it as gradual as we possibly can. Thinking about kind of the community of people that you were with on the program, did you feel connected with them, and do you feel there was kind of a support for each other there?
Yeah, definitely. I think what was really good, I assume most cohorts have done this in the past, but we created a WhatsApp group that we were all in. So, because you have various different portals, but the WhatsApp group became the kind of main way we communicate with each other. So
Mm.
it was great in terms, because pretty much everybody's on there, and some people are obviously, as in every WhatsApp group, some people are more vocal than others, and um, but it was a good way to kind of communicate in terms of, especially when you're coming up to an assignment, like, oh, does anybody know, I don't know what the word count is or something like that. If it's good for quick sort of referencing, or if you're panicking about something, maybe it was quite good support if everybody's like, oh, this, I'm really struggling with this one. And everybody else was like, yeah, I am too. That was really useful. Um, and yeah, because it's quite good, because sometimes you can feel like, oh, am I falling behind? Like, maybe, oh, why didn't I get this? Does, like, is it just me? And then you kind of put in the group, like, is anyone else struggling with this assignment? And then 10 people will be like, yeah, this is really difficult. And then it was quite good in terms, of finding materials maybe that you couldn't find, or like, so that was really useful. So I think you definitely do get quite connected to the people, and in most of the lessons you have you go into breakout rooms and you'll be put with a few different people from the course, so you get to meet them. And then obviously at the employer project at the end, you get put into a group with about 6 or 7 other people, I think, or 5, I can't remember. And so you work with them for the like sort of the last 6 weeks. So you obviously get to know them very well. And in my one, there was, I think we were all quite good at contributing, but there was some people in the group that did massive amounts of the work, sort of, which was really, really helpful. That wasn't me, to be honest. I was I was definitely a contributor, but there were some people who were sort of, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll do this bit, and they'd come back and they'd done loads of it for you already. So that was really helpful. Especially if you're sort of tight for time. And there were times when I actually started my job before I finished the course, so my new job started during the employer project. So I was kind of said to them, like, I'm a bit stretched for time here because I'm learning a new job and I'm trying to do this employer project. And they, they were super understanding, and they kind of helped me out with a lot of things. Maybe if I didn't have time to complete certain things that I said I'd do. And then obviously later down the line, I return the favor.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's great to have that balance, and we find that with a lot of teams. And we really encourage people to be upfront about this. If someone's like, this is a busy week for me, however, next 2 weeks I'm all good, and balance the workload like that. So really glad that you experienced that within your team. So I've got maybe a bit more of a specific one. So if you can think of maybe it's an example of how the program shaped your approach to product management, or maybe problem solving within your role.
Yeah, I think with my new role especially, I think, I mean, again, to go back to some of the frameworks, but I think in terms of, it helps to break down problems. I think one of the big things is sort of in product management is looking at problems as opportunities rather than problems. So problems in tech products, for example, if the user has a problem, then that's an opportunity for you to solve that problem, to create a new feature that might help them. So I think just changing your mindset as well. Like, a problem isn't something that needs to be, you don't need to put a plaster on it, for example. It's like, okay, let's use this as an opportunity to create something. So I think that was a big one, because I didn't know previously that, how I'd even go about structuring that. And I think, going back to the frameworks, things like, if any of you guys ever heard of an opportunity solution tree, but that was a big kind of framework where you kind of break problems down. And so that's something that I've used massively in my new job. So that was super useful.
Brilliant, thank you. You mentioned a little bit before about the King's brand being kind of important in your decision making. Do you think that having that, I mean, one of the most well-known brands in education in the UK, do you feel that's had an impact on being able to secure your role, the way you're able to present your qualification?
Yeah, I think the definitely the kind of gravitas that the university kind of lends to the course, I think. I mean, even on my LinkedIn now, it says KCL is my most recent university, so that obviously helps.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it just kind of gives more, it definitely gives more weight to the course, I think, and the qualification. Realistically, I mean, people don't necessarily, they're not going to really look too much into it and say, oh yeah, it's not you didn't, it was not a master's degree or an undergraduate degree. I think a lot of the time on a CV, they're going to look at it and sort of see that you're, a graduate of KCL, and then you can kind of like, that's, I think, like I said, in terms of value for money, as opposed to sort of doing an MBA or, um, a master's degree, you're kind of getting pretty good, very good value for money, in the sense that you can still leverage that, that name.
Definitely, and in a fraction of the time as well.
Exactly, yeah.
It's win-win. Okay. So there's a few people on the call here who I imagine are thinking, maybe this sounds like it is for me. I'm excited to learn more. What advice would you give to somebody who is considering a career change into product management from maybe a non-traditional background?
I think, like I said earlier, I think it's a super rewarding job. I mean, like I said, I've only been in it for 5 or 6 weeks, but I'm so glad that I did make this move. I was even talking to, one of my bosses the other day, and he was sort of asking how the transition had gone, and how I was getting on, and I was sort of saying how much I was actually enjoying it and how fun it was. And one of the big things I kind of noticed was, my old team. Again, this is quite personal to me, but my old team, it was, the atmosphere was a little bit, I feel like there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm, but moving into product, everyone's super enthusiastic. Everyone's very, proactive. Everyone's excited about building something and making something new. I think the ability to be creative, was was massive, really, and sort of kind of rejuvenated me quite a lot. So, yeah, in terms of, I think, I think that's one of the biggest things I can kind of, I'd say about it, really, just how fun it is, and especially if you're kind of feeling like you're a little bit, you've maybe stagnated in your career, or you just want something new. It's so varied as well. Every day so far has been a lot of different things, and a lot of kind of meeting different people, different meetings, moving around, creating different things, kind of sort of jumping from sort of different sort of little projects and things. So kind of keeps you on your toes a lot. So yeah, it's very, I think so far it's been really rewarding. And yeah, has just kind of rejuvenated me a little bit, I think.
I'm really happy to hear that, Chris. And I think what you said about being really hands-on with the product, the product manager role is one where you see your impact on the product, and you see changes, and you can really feel like I'm doing something here. I'm really contributing. I can see my signature on that, and look, that feature shipped. Now somebody's using it. That's one of the things that I love about the course, that it opens up, because a lot of people feel stuck in a role that's like, I'm just turning up, I'm just here doing the same things, but with your role, you're a change maker, and I think that's a nice place to be. Fantastic. So final question from me, reflecting on your journey, what's the one takeaway that you'd like to share with people here today?
I'd say definitely, I'd obviously just like take the risk. I think if you're unsure, if you're not sure about doing the course because you think it might not be worthwhile, or I think if you feel unhappy in your sort of current position, or you just want to kind of transition, or you want to move, or you just want to try something different, I think with from where I was very much kind of had fallen into this kind of comfort zone, and I felt like it, and it was still scary to move out of it, because I was like, I've been in my last role for 6 years, but it was just so rewarding. And I think, that's probably the biggest kind of advice I can give you, is just to sort of go for it. And it is very much one of those courses where you'll get out what you put in. So be prepared for, long days and having to kind of sacrifice a few things and maybe rearrange a lot of your your day perhaps. Um, but it's worth it in the end because once you've kind of got through it, and I think just keep that in mind. Remember what you're doing the course. Just remember why you started out in the first place and where you want to be. I think that's one thing that helped me, is that kind of kept me that motivation when it was getting difficult, when there was long days, just remembering why I did it in the first place. And what I wanted to kind of get out of it, whether it was, and like I said, for everybody that'll be something different. Maybe it's a change, maybe it's because you want a new career, maybe it's because you want, I don't know, more money. Who knows? I mean, which is a big part of it. And I think that's one of the things, that sometimes people, that's a very valid reason as well, right? If you wanted to,
Absolutely,
but something people don't always want to kind of talk about, and which is also fair enough. But yeah, that is another part of the reason that I made the move as well. And so yeah, all of those things kind of, they kind of keep you motivated. So yeah, I'd say if you really want to change, then I would recommend just going for it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chris. It's a pleasure hearing your story today. Thank you so much for sharing those answers with us. I think you're a really great example of somebody who has really backed themselves, really engaged with the career coach, put yourself out there, taken chance, taken risks, and it's completely paid off for you. You've got an amazing new role, and one that you're obviously really, really happy in. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand it over to Dani again, and we'll answer some audience questions if there are any. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kat and Chris. It's so great to hear your insights. Obviously, me being on the enrollments team, I'm part of the team that supported you with discovering what that why is that kept you motivated through the program. So it's good to hear that was your driving factor through it. We've got quite a few questions in the Q&A. Most of them, Chris, are for you, so I might lean on you a little bit here. I'll read them out to you, and any ones that I can jump on, I'll be happy to. Asia has asked, well, actually, first they've mentioned, thank you for sharing your experience. Were you a junior in your team and then you enrolled onto the course and then you progressed to a product manager? Or can you please clarify a little bit on what the order of events of your kind of career progression in relation to the Career Accelerator has been?
Yeah, of course. So the role I've started is a junior one. So I wasn't previously a product manager. So I used to work, in another role, in this company. But like I said, I work for a newspaper. So you kind of have the whole industry. The company has various different sort of sections. So I was in editorial, which is all the sort of content that puts out, and I've kind of moved over to product and business. So they are completely separate. So it's not really, it's kind of like an internal transition, but at the same time it is a new role. So like I said, my background was completely different. I worked in as a picture editor basically. So I then transitioned to product sort of with very little experience. The experience that I did have is that I'd done some kind of front end web development, and I'd done a secondment with some of the developers in my team, which you don't need to be a product manager. It was just something that I'd kind of started to explore when I kind of realized I wanted to maybe change my career. I started to explore web development, realized that it wasn't really for me. As kind of interested as I was in it, I wasn't particularly good at it for a start, but also it wasn't the right fit for me. I wasn't somebody who was going to sit on their own and not speak to anybody and kind of be locked in coding for hours. I think my skill was kind of more lied in communicating and kind of being around people, working in teams. So I'd done a little bit of that, and then when I realized I wanted to get into product, I contacted some people within my company, who I knew had transitioned into product. So it was people who had already transitioned to product in the previous teams that I worked in. So I contacted some of them and I was like, how can I get involved? So I had quite a few conversations. So that was one thing I would recommend if any of you work in companies where there is existing product teams, go and speak to them. Just, and don't just do it once, do it a few times. I basically had to keep going back. I went back sort of 4 or 5 times, kept asking for meetings and seeing if there was any opportunities. And so by the end of it, they kind of knew who I was. And then when I applied when this role came up, they actually contacted me to say, oh, by the way, we put up a role if you're interested in applying, because I'd kind of kept harassing them essentially. So whether you do that internally or externally, either way. And then obviously when I actually came to it, I had this course there as well. And so, like I said, that helped me massively in the interview process, and to kind of, I actually gave me context for what I was actually going to be talking about. So yeah, like I said, I have started here, just to go back to the actual question. I started as a junior product manager.
Awesome, thank you. I think you're now giving the favor back. You asked a lot of questions about the transition into product management, and now you're kind of sharing your experiences, which is great. And I just want to highlight to the audience that there are other past learners that we can connect you with for more testimonials, and just, similar to Chris, just speaking to their experience with the Career Accelerator. One other question is when, and I think I'll take this one, when does the next intake start, and how many people are in a cohort? Which is a great question. The next program starts on the 20th of October, and places are filling up quite quickly. We tend to see more applications than we have spots left remaining for the accelerator. It's probably one of our most popular times of year to take the program. So if you're really interested in the program, I would encourage you to speak to your own enrollment advisor on how we can secure a place sooner rather than later, but also just speak to them about any other questions that you might have about the program. Similarly to Chris's experience, they would speak to you a little bit about what your past, what your current career experience is, what are the transferable skills in product management, what are your plans, and really make sure that the Career Accelerator is aligned with the outcomes that you're looking for. And in terms of the number of people, we tend to keep the cohort sizes quite small. We aim to keep it at around the 70 learner mark. There's a few reasons for that, obviously for your career coach and support on the program, but then also so that you have networking opportunities and enough learners in your cohort to engage with, ask questions to, and then for the employer project at the end, it is a group work project. So very important to kind of get to know your peers on the program. We've got another question here, and Chris, this one's for you. I know you said that your career coach helped interview-wise, but what were some of the other aspects of the modules of the course that gave you interview confidence?
Definitely, I think, to be honest, all of it. I think, especially the module 1, especially, I think going in as a, because it's basically broken down into 4 modules or courses within the wider course. And course 1, the first 6 weeks, gave me so much kind of just context for product management in general. It was because I think this is one of the things. Whilst, I mentioned earlier that I'd been contacting the product team in my current job to ask about roles and things like that, and they would always kind of say, oh yeah, like if something comes up, we'll let you know. And then after a while, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this course. Then if I can, I can apply elsewhere. Once I kind of have the experience that the course has given me. One of the things I realized when I eventually did interview after doing this course, that if I'd have done the interview without, when a previous job, if I'd done it without doing this course, I would have essentially had no idea what I was talking about for large parts of it. So it gave me the confidence to answer a lot of the questions that they asked me. They would ask me things like, how would you approach solving a problem with this? How would you deal with, what would be your approach to sort of dealing with stakeholders, or in a scenario where this thing has happened, how would you approach this? And because of what I learned in the course, I was able to say, okay, yeah, this is how I would approach this problem. And then obviously what my career coach helped me do was, so I could say, oh, this is how I'd approach this problem, using the sort of theory from the course. And then the career coach helped me to then structure it in a way where I could say, okay, and this is a way in my current role where I've done this, and how I've kind of, so I could almost leverage my experience. I could reference the stuff that I had learned about in the course and then leverage my actual experience in my current job to kind of match them together, to kind of create these effective arguments, which is something that I'd never really considered before. I would never have known to have done that without the career coach. So yeah, it was definitely combining the two was super helpful.
Awesome. I think also just coming with the confidence, because the program is so practical in its nature. Like, you've actually done the work, and you can showcase that in an interview. And you're absolutely right. The career coach is pivotal in connecting the dots between your past transferable skills, the skills that you're learning on the program, and the industry, and how it all translates in an interview. So I'm happy to reaffirm that. We've got more questions about the career coach. I know that you have touched on quite a little bit again, but do you want to summarize maybe your career coaching experience one more time for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I initially got matched up with yeah, my career coach Karen, and I think I can't remember how I was matched to her. I can't remember if I submitted some information and then it was assigned, or whether it was random. But either way, yeah, so you sort of initially fill out some forms. You kind of say, well, you know, what they basically get you to fill out a career coaching tracker. So you sort of fill out all these various different things, saying what you want from the career coaching, what you're trying to achieve, like where you are in your career. Are you sort of are you trying to accelerate your current career? Are you trying to change careers and all this kind of stuff? So so then they kind of help you in the first session. You kind of maybe say, I kind of think I gave her a full background of where I was at, why I wanted to do the course, um, where I wanted to go with it, and so on. And she then kind of structures the lessons on various different kind of, yeah, how I would kind of tackle each part. In fact, I had mine early, so I think you're supposed to start your career coach halfway through the course, because I got this interview after course one. I contacted them for early career coaching, and then they were like, "Yep, sure, bring her in." And then, so yeah, so I managed to kind of get it early. So straight off the bat, I was kind of dealing with interview prep, and things like that. And also on that note, actually, my interview was on the the final submission for course one, I think, was that week. So because I had that, they also gave me an extension. So they're quite flexible in that regard as well.
Yeah, I think that does speak to also the kind of unique nature and trajectory of every learner's movements through the course. Everyone comes into the program with a different career goal at the end of their vision and what they want to do on the program. And the career coach can really help you navigate what that looks like for you. And I'm so glad that they managed to help you a little bit early. You know, if you don't ask, you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got another question about whether this program results in a master's degree or a certificate. So the program itself is at level 7, which is kind of a postgraduate level, but it's not a accredited program in that sense. So you do receive a certificate of completion from King's, and we do have quite strict entry criteria for the program. You do have to have a completed degree or 2 or 3 years of relevant work experience. Again, speak to your enrollment advisor whether your experience is relevant and how we can support you with getting onto the program. But if a postgraduate, an accredited postgraduate certificate is something that you are after, the King's product management program is quite unique in that way, where you can complete the career accelerator, and if you get 65% or above in your total passing mark, you have the opportunity to take on a postgraduate certificate project. It's structured very differently to the Career Accelerator, but it is an accredited postgraduate certificate through King's in product management. I believe when we launched it, it was one of the first of its kind. There might be more now, but not through King's or an institute like King's. So again, if you want more information on that postgraduate certificate, please speak to your enrollment advisor and they'll provide you more context. And we have a brochure specifically for that as well. So we'd love to share that and share more information with you. But back to the Career Accelerator, really what the Career Accelerator has been designed for is to give you a holistic view of the product lifecycle and a broad overview and give you enough information from the foundations to launching a product to be able to start or change or transfer a career into product management, similar to how Chris has done. We have a question from John, and I think it's a little bit of a joint answer. The question is about what sets this course apart from others out there, and has the investment really been worth it? I will just say, Chris, before I lean on you here, is that the what sets this program apart from others is, and Chris has touched on these things, it's a King's College London program with King's College London level of quality of the academics that you're getting through the program. You get that King's certificate at the end of the program, but then you also have industry relevant applications working with companies like Atlassian, Dropbox, Mr. Yum. You're getting the academic side, but how does it translate to industry? And you're getting practical experience through it, as well as a portfolio of evidence to be able to showcase in an interview setting, but actual hands-on experience. And similarly with the employer project, you also have that dedicated support from a career coach throughout the entire program. So really helping you navigate those career transitions or advancements in that nature. Chris, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Dani touched on, I think the career coach I found completely invaluable. I mean, that was like one of the biggest things, and what I've told other people as well. That was absolutely huge for me. In fact, I'd say that was probably the most significant part. Other than, I think the course in general, the theory was great, but having the career coach's support was incredible, and also ended up landing and obviously, like we have touched on, it is an expensive course, but like I said, I mean, I landed a role where I had a pay rise that essentially covered the cost of the course, so it was kind of felt like that was vindication enough for me. So there is obviously like that angle. I think it depends. Obviously everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to be coming from different angles. The course realistically will set you up for it'll set you up well for jobs in product management. If you're coming from it with no experience, then you're probably going to be going in obviously in junior roles, but junior roles still in product management pay reasonably well. So if whether you I think it kind of depends what angle you're coming at it from really. If you want to kind of transition towards product management, personally I would say it was worth it. For me, it was definitely worth the investment.
100%, Chris. And again, I know I keep saying this, but speak to your enrollment advisor about how we can, we've got payment plans that can potentially make it more affordable, and they'll really help you kind of with your budget requirements for the program. And like Chris said, it really does depend on your reason and your motivation behind wanting to upskill in product management and move into that type of career. So we are at the end of our hour. That felt like it flew by. I guess time flies when you're having fun. Chris, I just want to say once again, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience with us. There are a few outstanding questions. I will make sure to highlight these with your enrollment advisor so that they can reach out to you and schedule a call. As I mentioned, the program does start on the 20th of October and places are filling up incredibly quickly. I really would speak to your enrollment advisor about how we can put your application on the top of the list and expedite those outcomes for you. They are best equipped to support you with this decision-making process. Chris, again, thank you. And I hope everyone has a lovely day.